Joining me now on the big question. Hooch in a prohibition state. Has the time come to relook at prohibition? Joined by Dr. Monica Arora. She is Director, Health Promotion and Additional Professor, Public Health Foundation of India. Dr. Rana Singh is an academician who's been writing on this issue. Dr. Arora, first to you. The death toll in the Gujarat tragedy, not the first Hooch tragedy in that state. The previous large one was in Bihar in November last year. The thing that joins both these states together is the fact that there is prohibition here. Is there a sense that the supply of spurious liquor can increase and the administration either is conniving or is allowing the sale of liquor, especially where there is prohibition? Because people want their liquor. Dr. Arora? Dr.
Okay.
Arora?
So, first of all, I would like to clarify. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. Go ahead, ma'am.
First of all, I would like to say it's a very unfortunate tragedy, and as public health professional as well as government and all stakeholders, we have to do everything possible to avoid such a situation in any state of India. So prohibition is not the only strategy with which we can curb Hooch tragedies in future. We definitely need a more comprehensive national alcohol control strategy in our country. It's important that we realize prohibition is one of the strategy which would restrict access and availability and definitely would prevent new uptake. But the current users require a much comprehensive strategy and uniform laws. We cannot have laws which are changing from state to state. Minimum legal drinking age changes from state to state. So let's look at this issue more comprehensively and not just restrict it to whether prohibition in a state works or not.
Professor Rana Singh, your view on this? Should we be linking it at all to prohibition, Dr. Rana Singh?
Well, prohibition we have seen right since 1920 in US and most of the Indian 4-5 states which have implemented. Now, the real challenge lies in having a strong enforcement mechanism, because just the enactment does not bring the required change. We have to have a strong and comprehensive strategic action plan to make sure the entire community of varied demographic background, they should be sensitized in such a way that they understand the pros and cons and they avoid it.
So why do we need prohibition? Dr. Rana Singh, why do we need prohibition in the first place?
Absolutely.
What we need is a transparent liquor policy.
Correct. I think I would like to justify why we need it. There have been empirical evidences which have shown that the states having strong prohibition laws and strong enforcement mechanism, we have seen drastic drop in violence against women, crime against women, decrease in the accidents on the highways as well as within the cities. Apart from that, they have seen increased life expectancy of people, decrease in various diseases pertaining to liver and other allied aspects. More so, it has stopped, minimized, and has a significant impact in various crimes as well as health-related impacts. So there are significant.
So you're saying from the health aspect there is enough evidence to suggest that prohibition, if properly enforced, does work. But the Indian examples, and we can go state by state there, Dr. Arora, if you look at, for example, at the moment, Gujarat, where this has happened, we saw Bihar last year. Some states have been unsuccessful, have had to pull back. Andhra Pradesh most famously had to pull back from prohibition. The question arises, can we not find a more transparent manner in which liquor is sold, thereby ensuring that you do not have to rely on those illegal bootleggers, the entire parallel industry that flourishes in all these states?
Transparent mechanism. Even in Gujarat, there is a process of providing license. A person gets a license to drink, provided he has to make an application, and there is a document and it says Bevde ka naam, Bevde ke baap ka naam. So there is a mechanism in place. However, the enforcement mechanism becomes a challenge. Means the kind of population and the demographic diversity which we have, it's a real big challenge to make sure that we have such a diverse and comprehensive implementation and enforcement mechanism which can get spread towards all the villages, suburban areas.
So in the end, you're saying it boils down to more effective enforcement. If you effectively enforce prohibition, it works. Where it is not effectively enforced, when the networks work in a manner in which there are these nexuses between the police on the ground as well as the illegal bootleggers, that's where these hooch strategies tend to happen. Monica Arora and Raman Singh, I appreciate you joining me.